Right now. As you read these very lines, a little voice is talking inside you. Will this content bore them? Maybe I should disable the comments, maybe they won't like it. See? Even before reading the first sentence, your brain has already started running an approval-seeking algorithm. And here is the most terrifying truth: you are not the star of your own life. You are an extra trying to play a bit part in everyone else's. And you don't even realize it. Before we begin, kindly ensure that you have subscribed to the channel and leave a comment below describing your feelings while viewing this video. Your experiences empower this community. The show that starts with the first light of dawn. That checklist comes to mind as soon as you wake up in the morning, even before you open your eyes. I have to get Mom some coffee. Gotta rush to the office to keep the boss happy. Must immediately text my friend back, or they'll be upset. Before you even get out of bed, you are already crushed under the weight of 20 different people's expectations. You get up. You look in the mirror. But the person you see isn't you. It's a mosaic of the version everyone else wants. The good kid your mother desires, the efficient employee your manager expects, the always-on-call friend your buddies want, the understanding partner your spouse needs. But where is the real you in this picture? Your phone vibrates as you're heading to the kitchen. A text message. That familiar tightening in your gut begins. Your heart rate speeds up, just a little. You hold your breath, unknowingly. You open the message. "Can we talk after the meeting today?" it says. Such an innocent, ordinary sentence. But your brain has already generated 20 different disaster scenarios. Did I do something wrong? Did I tick them off? What could they want? How should I reply so I don't look dismissive but also don't leave myself too vulnerable? This is an ordinary morning. Your morning. The morning of millions of people. And we are all bound by the same invisible chains, the fear of being liked, of approval, of rejection. The ghost program in your brain. I'll tell you something now. Although you did not develop the code, you are a piece of software. Your brain was programmed by the world around you from the moment you were born. And the name of this program is, to survive, you must be loved. Anthropologists call it the social affiliation imperative. Psychologists call it approval-seeking behavior. But I'll tell you something simpler: you are the modern victim of a 200,000-year-old survival strategy. Think about it for a moment. On the African savannas, 50,000 years ago. What happens if a person is cast out of their tribe? They die. You can't hunt a lion alone, you can't build a shelter, you can't store food. Life outside the tribe is equivalent to death. That's why your brain developed one fundamental formula throughout the evolutionary process: stay inside the tribe means live. Stay outside the tribe means die. And here you are now, in 2025, working in a modern office building, wearing designer clothes, or maybe even a sensible business casual outfit from a place like Target or J.Crew, with a smartphone in your pocket. But that ancient program in your brain is still running. Still, every time you say no, still, every time you tell someone that doesn't work for me, your brain sounds the alarm. That small, almond-shaped structure called the amygdala starts pumping out cortisol as if you've encountered a lion. Your heart races. Your palms start to sweat. Why? Because for your brain, saying no equals being cast out of the tribe equals death. Insane, isn't it? You live here, in a safe house, with a full fridge, with access to all the world's knowledge on your iPhone or Galaxy. But that primal alarm system inside you is still operating as if you were living in a cave. Childhood, the initial poisoning. Let's go back. You are 3 years old. You're playing in the sand with your mother at a park. You are building a truck, concentrated, happy. Just then, your grandparent, or perhaps an aunt, comes over. Ooh, that's nice. But look, why don't you build a little house over here? That would be much prettier. You pause. You want to finish your truck. But you look at your mother's face. There's an expectation there. A hope. That silent pressure that says, a good kid should do this. And in that moment, you learn the most critical lesson of your life: what I want doesn't matter. What they want matters. This small, invisible, seemingly harmless moment is the first line of your programming. And hundreds, thousands more follow. Tie your hair back, you look much better that way. Why do you always hang out with that friend? The Smith family kid is much better behaved. You should be a doctor, look how successful Sarah down the street is. Don't cry, big boys don't cry. Don't laugh that loudly, it's not ladylike. Each one is a tiny prick. One alone won't kill you. But when thousands combine, they form a poison. And the name of this poison is, you are not enough as you are. You are only as valuable as you make other people happy. Now think about this, how old are you? 25? 35? 45? How many thousands of times have you received this message? How many thousands of times were you told, implied, or made to feel that you are only worthy when you please others? And now, you are an adult. You need to make your own decisions. But at every moment of decision, that childhood programming kicks in. Will I upset Mom? What will my boss think? Will my friends get mad at me? You are not free. You are dancing with the ghost of your past. Neurochemical servitude. But let's take a more scientific look at this. Because this isn't just a psychological issue. This is, quite literally, a neurochemical addiction. Do you know what happens when you please someone? When someone says thank you, when they say I'm so glad you exist, when they appreciate you, something happens in your brain. Dopamine is released from the area called the ventral tegmental area to the nucleus accumbens. Yes, dopamine. The same chemical released when you consume cocaine, gamble, or eat chocolate. You are, biochemically, addicted to approval. And do you know how addiction works? The first dopamine rush is very strong. But then the brain develops tolerance. You can't get the same pleasure from the same dose. You need more. More approval. More likes. More thanks. That's why you never feel good enough. That's why the minute you please one person, you immediately start thinking about the next. That's why if 10 people praise you, and one person criticizes you, the one criticism is what sticks in your mind. Because the brain is evolutionarily designed to focus on threats. A compliment means safety. A criticism means danger. And the brain is programmed to deal with threats. This is something called negativity bias. So now, you are trying to live with a system that is both dopamine addicted and focused on the negative. A perfect recipe for disaster. We wear masks, we lose ourselves. Who are you right now? No, seriously. Right now, this very second, who are you? You might say, I am a teacher. No, that's your job. You might say, I am a mother. No, that's your role. You might say, I am a fun person. No, that's one of your social masks. But the real you? When you take off the masks, when you set the roles aside, when you don't have to impress anyone, what is left? Most of us can't answer this question. Because we have lived so long for others that we have forgotten who we are ourselves. Psychologists call this loss of self or identity diffusion. But I'll tell you more clearly, you have started to vanish in your own life. Here's a scenario: your friends invite you to a movie. But you don't like that genre of film. What do? Most of us go. We'll have a good time, we tell ourselves. We convince ourselves. Maybe we even have fun. But the core problem is this: you have stopped recognizing your own desires. You no longer hear your own voice. You only hear the voices of others. And the scariest part, even when you realize this, you don't try to change. Because changing means disappointing people. And you prefer to give up on your own dreams rather than disappoint them. The silent scream, the accumulation of anger. Now let me tell you about another reality. People who try to please everyone are, on the surface, the calmest, most agreeable, most easygoing people. but they carry a volcano inside them. Because every time you say yes when you really mean no, something happens. A drop of anger accumulates. Small, invisible, unnoticed. But a drop more every time. And these drops, over the years, turn into a lake. A lake of rage. And one day, at the most unexpected moment, triggered by the most innocent event, that lake overflows. An example? Sarah, 38, mother of 2. For 20 years, she has been catering to her husband, her children, her parents, and her in-laws. She fulfills every request. She gave up on her own dreams, she postponed her own career plans. Family is important, she says. If they're happy, I'm happy, she claims. One day, at the dinner table, her son says, "Mom, what is this meal?" The same things again. Such a casual comment. A criticism she's heard thousands of times. But in that moment, something snaps inside her. Sarah jumps up, throws the plate against the wall, and screams. The children are in shock. Her husband is frozen. Sarah can't stop herself. All the anger, all the disappointment, all the suppressed rebellion she's accumulated over the years suddenly gushes out. And then silence. Sarah sits down and starts crying. "I'm sorry, I don't know what happened," she says. But she does know. The price of the self-betrayal she committed over the years has just come due. In psychological literature, they call this a passive-aggressive explosion or suppressed rage syndrome. But the truth is, if you continue to betray yourself, one day that betrayal will come back to you. And you will explode in a way that you cannot control. Have you ever experienced this? Those sudden bursts of rage? Those moments where you think, why did I act like that? Share in the comments. Toxic positivity, the rot beneath the fake smile. What does society tell us? Always be positive. Smile. Look on the bright side. Be grateful. But this advice is actually a kind of poison. Because suppressing your emotions is not eliminating them. It's storing them. Neurological research shows that when you suppress your emotions, amygdala activity doesn't decrease. On the contrary, it increases. But the prefrontal cortex prevents you from consciously feeling those emotions. So the feeling is still there, but you're unaware of it. And these suppressed emotions turn into physical symptoms. Migraines. Stomach ulcers. Chronic fatigue. Fibromyalgia. Irritable bowel syndrome. All of these can be the body's reflection of suppressed emotions. Psychosomatic medicine knows that the body and mind cannot be separated. The things you suppress in your mind, your body forces out. As pain. As illness. As fatigue. When you don't listen to yourself, your body forces you to listen. And here is the most painful truth: while you are trying to make everyone else happy, the person you neglect the most is yourself. As you rush to heal everyone else's wounds, your own wound is bleeding, and you don't even notice. Social media, the digital hell of approval addiction. We are now in 2025. And we are living in the most interesting period in human history. You used to need the approval of a select few, now that few has expanded to billions of people. You share a photo. For the next hour, you constantly check your phone. How many likes? Who commented? Who didn't like it? Why didn't that person like it? Is this ordinary behavior? No. This is a sign of clinical level addiction. Sean Parker, the co-founder of Facebook, confessed in an interview years later, "We consciously designed these platforms to hack people's dopamine loops. Every like is a small dopamine burst. And we built the algorithms so people would become addicted to those bursts. So, you came into the world with your please everyone programming. Now, social media companies are spending billions of dollars to drive you to seek even more approval. You are a leaf caught between two fires. And the worst part, the person you show on social media is not the real you. It's a filtered, edited, artificial version that you think everyone will like. You're not presenting your real life there, you're putting on a show. And this show exhausts you even more. Because you are forced to live two lives, one digital, one real. And both of them are fake. The whispering secrets of history. But this isn't just a modern problem. Throughout human history, people have lived with this pressure. In ancient Greece, Socrates said, "The public can kill me, but it cannot prove me wrong." And he drank the poison. Why? Because he rejected the approval of the community and defended his own truth. And the price was death. When Galileo said that the earth revolves around the sun, the church excommunicated him. To go against what society believed was social death at that time. Galileo was forced to recant. Still, it moves, he is famously said to have whispered. But he lowered his voice. And now you. In 2025. You don't have churches, you don't have fanatics who will kill you. But there are other things. Social exclusion. Criticism. Loneliness. And these sometimes feel scarier to you than physical death. Because evolution programmed your brain to fear loneliness even more than death itself. Machiavelli's whisper and manipulation. Now let's step into a darker corner. Because this is not just your responsibility. The people around you exploit this weakness. A boss piles more work onto you. "I don't trust anyone as much as I trust you," they say. Only you can handle this. You feel proud. You take on the load. But the truth is, they are manipulating your need for approval. They are using you as cheap labor. A friend constantly asks you for money. Real friends help each other out, they say. You give it. Because to refuse means being labeled a bad friend. But they are exploiting your fear. A family member constantly loads you with guilt. "We raised you, and now you." They say. You comply. Because you don't want to be the ungrateful child. This is emotional blackmail. And you fall into the trap so easily that most of the time you don't even notice. Psychologist Susan Forward, in her book Emotional Blackmail, says, manipulators use your love, fear, and guilt to control you. And you, due to the fear of rejection, surrender to this control. So, are you aware of this? How many people around you are taking things from you, not by thinking about your well-being, but by exploiting your weakness? The weight of the word no. Now I'm going to tell you the simplest, yet hardest thing, say no. 2 letters. A 1-syllable word. But for you, it feels like lifting a mountain. Because saying no is not just a word for you. It feels like a betrayal. Not a betrayal of yourself, but a betrayal of others. And this triggers your deepest fear. But understand this, every time you say yes to someone else, you are essentially saying no to yourself. You are stealing from yourself. Your time, your energy, your dreams, your peace. And one day, when you look back, what will you have left? The gratitude of others? No. Because people start to see what is consistently given as a right. No matter how much you give, the one day you don't, they will be angry at you. But you always used to do it, they will ask. So, no matter how much you give, you will never be truly appreciated. Because expectation turns into habit. And habit kills gratitude. So what are you going to do? Will you give up on yourself for life? Will you live your whole life as an extra in everyone else's movie? Brain neuroplasticity, you can be reprogrammed. But there is hope here. And this hope is one of the greatest discoveries of neuroscience, neuroplasticity. This means that your brain can be reprogrammed. You can delete old programs and write new ones. But it won't be easy. Because old neural pathways are like deep, dark forest trails. They have been used and reinforced for years. Paving a new path is very difficult. Initially, you will face resistance. Your brain will want to use the old path. Because, in terms of energy conservation, using the old way is easier. But if you continue to use the new one, that new path will eventually become easier. And the old path, left unused, will eventually disappear. So how do you start? Step 1. Awareness. The first step is observing your own behavior. For 1 week, take a note every time you say yes. Did you really want to? Or did you only say yes out of fear of rejection? This small note-taking habit will show you your own patterns. Step 2. Tiny numbers. Don't start with big numbers. Start with small, safe numbers. For example, a friend invites you to a movie, but you are tired that day. Say, I can't make it this time, I'm exhausted. I'd love to another time. Simple. No explanation, no excuse, just the truth. It will feel incredibly hard at first. But do it. And then, observe what happens. Most of the time, people will say, okay, I get it, and the matter will be closed. The catastrophe you predicted won't happen. Step 3. Make peace with guilt. When you say no, you will feel guilty. This is normal. Because your brain has learned the formula saying no equals being bad for years. But feel the guilt, you don't have to obey it. Think of guilt like a wave. It comes, peaks, and then subsides. Just observe it. Without resisting. Without giving in. Step 4. Set boundaries. Boundaries are not walls. Boundaries are the healthy distance between you and the world. It's a way of saying, this much is fine, but this much is not. For example, you can say, I don't reply to work messages after 9 p.m. You can say, I spend weekends with my family, I can't attend social functions. At first, people will be surprised. They will say, you were never like this. But over time, they will learn to respect your boundaries. And those who don't? They shouldn't be in your life anyway. Step 5. Define your values. What do you believe in? What do you truly care about? Don't listen to what others tell you, listen to the voice inside you. Take a piece of paper and write. What are the 3 most important values to me? Maybe family. Maybe freedom. Maybe creativity. Whatever it is, write it down. And then, whenever you make a decision, ask yourself, is this decision aligned with my values? If not, why are you doing it? The fear of loss and the courage to accept. But the hardest part is this, you will lose some people. This is inevitable. Because some relationships are built upon the version of you that always says yes. When you change, those relationships will dissolve. And it will hurt. A friend was constantly using you. When you set a boundary, they will get angry. They will say, you've changed, you've become selfish. And maybe they will drift away. And you will be sad. But ask yourself, did that person really love you, or did they love what they were getting from you? True relationships are not built on your obligation to say yes. True relationships are built on mutual respect, understanding, and acceptance. Someone who rejects you when you say no shouldn't be in your life anyway. This will hurt. But this pain is the pain of growth. It's like the pain a seed feels when it bursts through the soil. If you stay in the soil, you stay safe. But you can never blossom. The war between the false self and the true self. Now there are 2 voices inside you. One is the old voice. The one that says, you have to do it, otherwise they won't love you. The other is the new voice. The one that says, you are worthy, you have rights. And between these 2 voices, a war is fought every day, every hour. At breakfast, your mother says, eat a little more, you are too thin. The old voice says, eat, or she'll be upset. The new voice says, I'm full, I can say no. Which one will you listen to? Here, your boss gives you a last-minute assignment. The old voice says, accept it, or you'll lose your job. The new voice says, this isn't fair, I have an appointment. Which one will you choose? These choices seem small. But each one is a battlefront. And every time you listen to your own voice, that voice gets stronger. Every time you listen to the voices of others, that voice gets stronger. In psychological literature, they call this the distinction between the authentic self and the false self. Donald Winnicott, the famous psychoanalyst, spoke about this years ago. The false self is the mask you create according to the expectations of society, family, and your environment. The authentic self is the real you. The voice inside. The you that listens to your emotions, desires, and dreams. And for most of us, by the time we reach adulthood, our false self has become so dominant that we have completely lost our authentic self. That voice is now so faint that we can't even hear it. But that voice is still there. Silent, waiting, hoping. And every time you listen to it, that voice gets a little louder. The paradox of loneliness. Now I'm going to tell you something strange. People who try to please everyone are the loneliest people. How can that be? You are surrounded by people. Everyone loves you, everyone wants things from you. How can you be lonely? Because no one knows the real you. They know the mask you show. Does anyone know your real pains, fears, or disappointments? Have you ever told them your true feelings? No. Because you don't want to be a burden. Mark, 42, a successful manager. Everyone loves him. What a positive guy, they say. He's always smiling, they say. But when Mark goes home, closes the door, that smile drops. And a deep emptiness remains. Mark cries in his lonely room that night. Why? Because no one knows the real Mark. No one sees the desperation, the fatigue, the disappointment inside him. Because he never shows it. He always projects strength, positivity, and the image that everything is fine. And here is the most painful irony: Mark is very much loved. But Mark is lonely. Because the person who is loved is not the real Mark. The person who is loved is the fake persona Mark created. True intimacy requires vulnerability. True connection requires showing your weaknesses. But when you constantly try to look strong, constantly positive, constantly problem-free, no one can truly get close to you. Because they are talking through a mask too. A conversation between two masks is not true communication. Think of someone you've spoken to genuinely, deeply, sincerely. Remember those moments. Moments when the masks fell and the defenses melted away. Those are the moments of true connection. And how rare those moments are. The illusion of perfection. And then there's this: you don't just want to please everyone, you also want to be perfect. Because if you are perfect, you can't be criticized. If you are flawless, you can't be rejected. But perfection is an illusion. No one is perfect. And everyone can be criticized. How good you are has nothing to do with whether others criticize you. Because criticism is often a reflection of the critic's own inner world. Research shows that perfectionism is one of the biggest causes of depression, anxiety, and burnout syndrome. Why? Because perfectionism means running towards a goal that you can never be satisfied with. No matter how well you do, you always say, it could have been better. No matter how successful you are, you always feel, it's not enough. This is similar to dopamine addiction. But this time, you're waiting for dopamine not from the approval of others, but from the false ideal of the to perfect me within yourself. And that ideal will never be realized. Because it's not real. It's a fantasy imposed on you by society, media, and family. And to reach that fantasy, you are destroying your true self. The cultural dimension, collectivist societies, and the individual. Now let's look a bit wider. Because this isn't just your personal problem. This is a cultural issue. In many parts of the world, Eastern Europe, Latin America, most of Asia, and the Middle East, there are collectivist cultures. Meaning the individual is less important than the community. Questions like, what will the family say? What will the neighborhood think? What do people think, are central to life. Western cultures are generally more individualistic. The approach, what do you want? It's your life, is more dominant. But be careful, this problem exists in the West too. It just manifests differently. There, the pressure comes in the form of social media approval, professional success demands, and the compulsion to prove yourself. But in collectivist cultures, this pressure is deeper, more systematic. Because from the moment you are born, you are raised as part of the we identity. You learn that saying I is selfishness. Sacrifice for the family is presented as a virtue. And you grow up with this virtue. And now, as an adult, when you try to say I, you have to fight not only the voice inside you but also centuries of cultural coding. This is not your fault. But it is your responsibility. Because you have the power to break these patterns. Difficult, yes. But not impossible. Trauma bonding, love or addiction. Now let's enter a very sensitive topic. Because some of us developed the behavior of people-pleasing as a trauma response. If you received your parents' love conditionally as a child, meaning you were loved when you were a good kid, and rejected when you were a bad kid, you coded love as a reward system. And now, as an adult, you are still trying to earn that reward. If you were emotionally neglected as a child, meaning you were told to stop crying when you wept, or don't make so much noise when you were happy, you learned to suppress your emotions. And now, you care about the emotions of others but ignore your own. If you were constantly criticized as a child, why are you so lazy? Why aren't you like your brother-sister? You perceived criticism as a lack of love. And now, you are ready to do anything to avoid being criticized. This is trauma bonding. Meaning, ways of forming relationships based on past wounds. And these bonds are very strong. Because they are coded in your subconscious, in your nervous system. But again, neuroplasticity comes into play. You can untangle these trauma bonds. But for that, you first have to see them. You have to accept them. And then, slowly, you need to form new bonds. Therapy is invaluable at this point. Because therapy offers a safe space. There, you can open yourself up without the fear of rejection. There, another human being listens to you unconditionally. And this experience presents a new lesson to your brain. So I can be loved even without being perfect. So I am worthy even without pleasing everyone. This is a simple but revolutionary discovery. Social experiment, the week of no. Now, I have a suggestion for you. Conduct a small experiment for 1 week. The week of no. For 1 week, at least once every day, say a sincere no. You don't have to start with big things. Small, daily numbers are enough. For example, someone asks you, "Can you look at this document?" Normally, you would say, "Sure, right away." But this time, say, "I'm swamped right now, I can look at it tomorrow." For example, a friend invites you out, but you are tired. Normally, you would say, "I'll come." This time, say, "I won't be able to make it this time, I need to rest." Every time you do this, an alarm will go off inside you. Don't do it. They'll be angry. They won't love you anymore. But do it anyway. And then, watch what happens. Most of the time, nothing will happen. People are not as fragile as you think. They will accept your the no and move on with their lives. And you will learn, saying no wasn't a catastrophe. I can still live without disappointing everyone. And in some cases, yes, someone might get angry. Someone might criticize you. But this doesn't show your fault. This shows their expectation. And that expectation is not your responsibility. Did you try one no every day? Write in the comments. What did you feel? What happened? Burnout, trying to give water from an empty well. Now, let me offer you an image. You are a well. And everyone comes to drink water from you. Mother, father, spouse, children, friends, colleagues. Everyone comes, dips their bucket, takes water, and leaves. And you? Do you ever refill your own well? Or do you just keep giving? One day, someone else comes and dips their bucket. But the bucket comes up empty. Because there is no water left in the well. And that person gets angry. Why is there no water? There always used to be. This is what burnout is. You have given so much that there is nothing left inside you. You are an empty vessel. And you have nothing left to give anyone. The World Health Organization has officially recognized burnout syndrome as a diagnosis. Its symptoms include chronic fatigue, emotional numbing, reduced productivity, and a cynical attitude. And the most common cause, constantly working for others while neglecting yourself. Are you on the brink of burnout? Here are a few questions. When you wake up in the morning, do you want to get out of bed, or do you want to stay there forever? Do the things you used to love still give you pleasure? When talking to people, are you truly listening, or are you just waiting for your turn to pass? When you accomplish something, are you happy, or do you just say, "Thank goodness, that's over"? If you answered negatively to most of these questions, you are in a dangerous zone. And the solution is simple yet difficult: start refilling your well. Make time for yourself. Do things you love. Rest. Nourishment. Sleep. Exercise. Hobbies. Therapeutic conversations. These are not luxuries. These are necessities for survival. Because if you are an empty well, you are useless to anyone. But if you are a full well, you can both drink yourself and give to others. Can you see the difference? Red lines, knowing what is unacceptable. Now, let's talk about something practical. Red lines. What can you accept, and what can you not accept? Do you know the answer to this question? Most of us don't. Because we didn't learn to set boundaries. We grew up with the mentality that everything can happen, I will adapt. But the truth is, some things are unacceptable. And you have to define those things. For example, emotional abuse. Someone constantly belittles you, insults you, says they are joking, but you are hurt. This is unacceptable. And instead of blaming yourself by thinking, "Maybe I'm too sensitive," you should tell that person, "This behavior bothers me, stop." And if they don't stop, you need to adjust your distance from that person. For example, disrespect for your time. Someone constantly gives you last-minute tasks, constantly ruins your plans, constantly implies that your time is worthless. This is unacceptable. You should say, "This no longer works, I need advance notice." For example, emotional exploitation. Someone constantly complains, constantly talks about their problems but never listens to you. They are always taking, never giving. This is unacceptable. You need to ask for balance in the relationship. But saying these things is not easy. Because you doubt yourself, thinking, "Maybe I am too sensitive, maybe I am exaggerating, maybe I am being selfish." And this is where you need a tool, listening to your inner intuition. If something bothers you, it is most likely genuinely bothersome. If a behavior upsets you, it is most likely upsetting. You must learn to trust your own feelings. Psychologists call this interoceptive awareness. That is the ability to perceive your own internal signals. Notice the tension in your body, the churning in your stomach, the tightness in your chest. These are signals from your internal alarm system. And you shouldn't suppress them. Listen to them. The moment of breakaway, the chasm between the old life and the new life. Now we come to a critical point, the moment of change. Change usually doesn't happen suddenly. But sometimes, there is a moment. An event occurs. And you say, "Enough is enough." Psychologists call this a turning point. A crisis. An awakening. An inner explosion. Lisa, 34 years old. For years, she did everything for her family. She gave up on her own career, gave up on her own friendships. She got married and had children because her parents wanted her to. And for years, she said, "I am happy." And she believed it. One day, her young daughter looks at her and says, "Mommy, why do you always look sad?" Lisa freezes. "No, sweetie, I'm not sad," she says. But that night, she looks in the mirror. And she sees the truth. Her daughter is right. She is sad. She has been sad for years. But she hadn't even noticed. That night, Lisa cries. But this crying is different. This is the crying of release. This is the crying of awakening. And the next day, Lisa makes a therapy appointment. She takes the first step. What will your turning point be? Maybe today. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe years from now. But know this, that moment will come. And you have to be ready. Because when that moment arrives, you will either change, or you will bury yourself deeper. And here is the choice: which path will you choose? Rebirth, reclaiming yourself. When change begins, there is chaos at first. Because the old order is broken, and the new order has not yet formed. Your relationships will change. Some will break off, others will deepen. For instance, when your boss no longer sees the same flexibility from you, you might have a conflict. Maybe you'll have to change your job. Family dynamics will shift. Your mother might say, "You've changed, you've become selfish." Because you are no longer doing everything she wants. And this is uncomfortable for her. Friendships will alter. Some friends want the old you. The fun, always available for you. But the new you sometimes says no. And this bothers them. But these changes are necessary. Because you are moving from fake relationships to real ones. You are moving from exploitation to mutual respect. You are moving from performance to authenticity. And after a while, a new balance emerges. New relationships with people who accept you as you are. A new work routine in an environment that respects your boundaries. A new family dynamic built on mutual respect. And most importantly, when you look in the mirror, you finally see the real you. Not the masks. Not the performance. The real, naked, vulnerable, beautiful you. The fine line between empathy and self-protection. But be careful. I am not telling you to say no to everyone, be selfish. No. Because that is a problem at the other extreme. Empathy is good. Helpfulness is good. Thinking of others is good. But this should not mean completely abandoning yourself. Psychologists talk about the concept of healthy selfishness. That is the principle of putting on your own oxygen mask first, then helping others. Remember the safety announcement on the plane. Why do you put on the mask first? Because if you can't save yourself, how will you save someone else? Empathy is feeling another person's pain. But it is not taking on their pain. It is not taking responsibility for their emotions. You can understand another person's feelings, but their feelings are not your responsibility. For example, a friend is unhappy. You show empathy. You listen. You offer support. But it is not your responsibility if your friend expects you to call them every night at 2 a.m. and talk for 3 hours. You can set a boundary: I want to listen to you, but I go to sleep after 10 p.m. We can talk during the day. This is not selfishness. This is a healthy boundary. And true friendship respects boundaries. Forgiveness and moving forward. Now, one more difficult topic. Forgiveness. You, in the past, may have been used by many people. Manipulated. Exploited. And there is anger inside you. There is disappointment. There is pain. And now, some people tell you to forgive. They say, leave the past, move on. But forgiveness is not forgetting. Forgiveness is not condoning what that person did. Forgiveness is pouring the poison out of yourself. Because when you continue to carry that anger, you are still giving power to the person who hurt you. That person may have left your life years ago. But you are still suffering by thinking about what they did to you. In other words, that person is still living in your life, in your mind. To forgive is to remove that person from your mind. It is saying, you no longer deserve my energy. But note, forgiveness does not mean you have to re-establish a relationship with that person. You can forgive someone but choose not to have them in your life. Forgiveness is for your inner peace. Forming a relationship is for your choice. And sometimes, the person you need to forgive is yourself. Because for years, you treated yourself poorly. You neglected your own needs. You gave up on your own dreams. And now, you are angry at yourself. But forgive yourself. You did the best you could at the time. You made wrong decisions out of ignorance, fear, and programming. But this does not diminish your worth. You are still worthy. And you can still change. Small victories, celebrating progress. Change is slow. And most of the time, you can't see the progress. Because you are waiting for big changes. But real change happens with small steps. Today, you said no. A small victory. This week, you set aside an hour for yourself. A small victory. This month, you distanced yourself from a toxic relationship. A small victory. These small victories, when combined, create a big transformation. But you have to celebrate them. Because the brain, when rewarded, tends to repeat that behavior. Tell yourself, I am proud today. Because I listened to myself. I succeeded this week. Because I set a boundary. I grew this month. Because despite my fear, I did the right thing. This is not self-praise. This is recognizing your own development. And this is a healthy behavior. Keep a small notebook. Every day, ask the question, what did I do for myself today? And write it down. Maybe you'll only write, I meditated for 10 minutes. That's enough. Maybe you'll write, I said no to the extra work my boss wanted. That's great. At the end of the month, look at those notes. And see. You are improving. Slowly but surely, you are changing.